Today is July 3rd, 2020, and Xur has some pretty incredible gear offerings. In previous seasons, he used to sell very low stat roll armor, but in recent seasons, he sells stat rolls in the 60, which is incredible because you don't have to have extreme luck with the rest of your armor set to build a pretty good loadout. So he has Lucky Pants, Mask of the Quiet One, and Lunafaction boots. In the following days, I'll do a build on all three of those, but today I'm focusing on the Mask of the Quiet One. This has a perk called Dreaded Visage. Grants ability energy when you're damaged. When critically wounded, regain maximum health on kills. Now the goal for this build is to take advantage of the second part. I just read the first part of gaining ability energy when you're damaged as free ability energy, because if you're playing PvP, it's inevitable you're going to be damaged. So my goal here is to help my opponent critically wound me. And I'll be doing that with the Tommy's Matchbook. It has a trait called Ignition Trigger. It says sustained fire with this weapon overheats it, increasing damage, but burning the user. And now that second part is what intrigues me here. Burning the user is fantastic because that means I can force my opponent to get me critically wounded faster. And that means if I win my gunfight because of the increasing damage, I can then refill my health to full. Keep in mind that your Guardian's health bar is split into two portions, a shield portion and a health portion. You can't really kill yourself with Tommy's Matchbook because it will only break shields but not necessarily take down your health. So this means that with a certain resilience level, it's not 5, but I think it's 7, but ideally with this build, you want to get as high resilience as you can so that when you're on the health portion of your health bar, you can survive one hand cannon shot even if you're spinning up Tommy's Matchbook. Now I didn't do that today because I don't quite have the armor set to make that possible, but if I ever get it, I will do that. I'm just used to 6 mobility, so I want to keep it flush across all my characters while I reacquire my aim. So Tommy's Matchbook also has a catalyst. While Ignition Trigger is active, your health recovers much faster, meaning that in that same scenario I just said where somebody shoots you with the hand cannon and you survive with 1 health point, that means your health recovers faster back to that health bar, but not quite reactivating the shields. Another thing worth mentioning is the Heat Sink trait. Overheat damage is reduced while not aiming down sights. This is a hip fire machine. When you hip fire, this means that you're not slowed down by aiming down sights and your radar is open. And since you're not zoomed in, you have a wider field of view to more easily snap and acquire targets. So this is one of my favorite guns in the game. I would genuinely rank it my 3rd favorite weapon in the game. And I know that sounds crazy, but it is. So now let's put the whole build together, now that you understand. It's a high risk, high reward setup where I am using Inertia Override, which is the middle tree Code of the Missile Titan, to slide over ammo and reload my weapon, which means that I can start pre-firing to proc Ignition Trigger. While sliding over ammo, it'll refill my magazine and then give me an extra damage boost. So I can almost guarantee that I'm going to win the gunfight because I'm getting a double damage buff. And then if I do win the gunfight, chances are I'm helping my opponent make me critically wounded, and then there's going to be just a magical setup where somebody walks around the corner, I have double damage proc, the gun is fully spun up, and I'm set up to constantly, no matter what, regain my health faster than 2 hand cannon shots. So as long as I can isolate targets, this means I can just keep pretty much a machine gun non-stop. I know this is an auto rifle, but when you have everything falling into place, it feels like a machine gun and you don't even have to aim down sights. Now I am also using Protective Light. This says while charged with light, you gain significant damage resistance against combatants when your shields are destroyed. This effect consumes all stacks of Charge of Light. The more stacks consumed, the longer the damage resistance lasts. And then I'm also using High Energy Fire. So this is a 3rd potential damage booster. So I'll get in this magic scenario where I get a double kill with Tommy's Matchbook because This setup is built for multi-kills. If I get the multi-kill because I have Tommy's matchbook with the catalyst, double kills make an orb of light. If I pick up an orb of light, I become charged. And now, until my health bar or my shields break, I have high energy fire, so more damage. And when my shields break, high energy fire goes away, and then I get protective light, which means I have significant damage resistance. And this is why I didn't really focus on resilience, because I was really trying to test if protected light would be worth it, and it seems to come in clutch. The thing is, don't try to intentionally proc this. That's my Discord notification, by the way. Just play normally, and you'll sometimes notice you survive some pretty wild stuff. And then I also, of course, have Powerful Friends for mobility, and the fact that if one of my teammates gets charged and I'm near them, I get a free charge of light. And reminder, free damage resistance, free damage. And, critically wounding myself, free ability energy, which is awesome because I am using flashbangs. This is exactly what it sounds like. If the grenade lands near an opponent and they look in the direction of the grenade, they get flashed. Keyword here, look in the direction of the nade. So this means you can put some pretty dangerous grenades on the floor and walk backwards into them. You take a little bit of damage, you get partially flashed, but if your opponent's looking at the nade, they get fully flashed. So in this time, while the grenade's about to detonate, you can start shooting Tommy's matchbook at the floor or something like that to start proccing ignition trigger. And so right when that grenade hits, you spin 180 degrees to look at your opponent. They're ideally blind. You're spinning up now, and you can just focus on killing them or aiming at someone else in the room so that you can play this game of trying to be as close to critically wounded as you can while also living. Also, the artifact is enhanced scatter projectile targeting, which helps auto rifles significantly, and you can have 2 of them. My special weapon of choice is just an Astral Horizon with quick draw, but you could really use anything here. I wanted to use something that I know would last a little bit, so this one has a power limit of 1310. You can get away with a Hawthorns or any other shotgun really, don't overthink it. So I'm hoping that the format of these kind of videos has me doing a live commentary explanation of the build with some example clips that pop up on screen. I might even overlay them so that both screens are up at the same time. So for the rest of the video, you will see some examples of the build in action. Pay attention to the situations where I isolate a 1v1 and have a lot of different damage buffs or the damage resistance buff. It's a pretty fun build, and Xur enables it without much work. I have searched forever for good exotics. I've done hundreds of Master and Grandmaster Nightfalls, and I don't really have much in the armor department to show for Titan. So seeing Xur finally bring something, it's just made the game a lot more fun, and I hope this continues in the future with the high stat rolls. In fact, if I'm on the subject now, I might as well say the rest of the vendors could take a page from Xur. So let me quickly talk about tokens here. Notice that I have 7,000 Crucible tokens. What's the point of a token system if what I purchase with the tokens is just a random package? I think it'd be a lot better to directly buy items with rolls similar to Xur's weekly reset. Yeah, why can't the rookies in the Crucible realize this? So here's a random engram. You can get any of these weapons randomly, which makes me wonder, what's the point of tokens to begin with? They're just gonna accumulate in my inventory. Maybe I guess it's a buffer to gear up a character every season, but I would still rather have the option to just buy an item directly. So there we go, Last Hope, Rangefinder, and tap the trigger. Not gonna lie, that's pretty good. I might keep that, genuinely. Maybe I'll use that in a video. But anyway, imagine he just sold this roll 1 week, and you could say, oh, he's selling a Last Hope with a Rangefinder and tap the trigger for 200 Crucible tokens. I better go grind in Crucible this week so I can afford that. That way it keeps players logging in weekly, kind of like Xur. Now I'm really excited to go to Xur for 2 reasons. He has a faded engram, which can give me a random exotic. I think that's how I got these Lion Rampants one of these days. These are my exotic of choice right now, but now I can use Mask of the Quiet One just for a fun build to try it out to see if I want to commit to it for power level enabled content in the future. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Enjoy the gameplay. I will see you in the next one.
Wage war like a true titan. Fought like a titan of the first pillar. Minutes. 'Fought like a titan of the first pillar. First place. You call that a win?